Do not allow your trauma, the past, to be the reason the future doesn't happen for you. That doesn't have to be your reality. My name is Lucy Super Fox, and this is my podcast. Hello everybody. In this week's episode, we are going to dive into a very big question. And that question is your trauma sabotaging your business? Now, a lot of people are going to listen to this and think, okay, I've got self-sabotage things. Maybe it's something that I don't have to worry about, or maybe it's something that someone else can fix. And what I want to share with you is that unfortunately, trauma, although it may not be your fault, the truth is it is your responsibility moving forward. So if you are not ready to take responsibility for your healing journey, for your growth journey, for moving through the experiences of the past in order to move into the future, then you should stop watching this episode right now. But if you are still with me and you are ready to hear what I have to say, at the end of this could be an enormous quantum leap for you. So let's dive in. Trauma, simply in the body, is a memory of what's happened, and a memory of what's happened that doesn't necessarily live in the mind, but it lives in the nervous system. Now, our nervous system is what programs us to not touch a hot stove, but also how to, I'm not wearing trainers today, but how to tie my shoes, or how to put my earrings in, or how to curl my hair. It remembers how to do things, so I don't have to remember or relearn how to do things on a daily basis. And that stores those programs in our nervous system and in our subconscious mind. Now, the kind of illusion, I think, is that the subconscious mind is just in the brain, that we have the conscious brain and the subconscious brain. But the truth is, the subconscious mind is the nervous system, and the nervous system is the subconscious mind. They operate as one. So it's more like the body mind, and then we have the thinking mind. So we have a 95% body mind that runs the show, based on every single experience we've had to date, every single thought, every single feeling, every single lesson. And we have our 5% thinking mind that can make a new decision based on new experiences on a daily basis. But when it comes to creating new, creating more, abundance, growth, wealth, the things that you might be seeking in your business, the truth is that your subconscious, your nervous system, will snap you back to a place of safety every single time, just like a bungee cord. And that is because when we've had negative experiences in our past, whether they were physiological, emotional, psychological, actually what happens is they get stored in the nervous system, and we realize that creates a response inside of us, whether it might be a fight, flight, a freeze, or a fawn. And for anyone that doesn't know, a fawn response would be over apologizing, saying I'm so sorry, wanting to excuse yourself from everything, or feeling like you didn't belong. One of those 4 responses that would happen on repeat becomes so programmed that you may not even put yourself in a situation, because the experience of feeling fight, flight, freeze, or fawn is so insufferable to the nervous system. As a human being, your capacity to hold space for those experiences is so small that we don't even put ourselves out there in the first place. So that's the first way. The second way is that things outside of you are triggering things inside of you. So it could be that you're putting yourself out there and you know that a big part of business growth is visibility, but maybe putting yourself out there online or in person is just something that you don't like, and it just doesn't feel right, and it's just not something that vibes with you. But deep down, you can feel that stirring in your solar plexus. You can feel this anxiety rising. That's because there's a preconceived idea, and by idea, I mean a feeling, a preconceived feeling about what's going to happen when you do the thing. Now, that preconception is a preconception based on past experience. It's not a truth, it's not evidence, it's not a guarantee. But often what happens is we project our future from our past, because that's all the nervous system and the subconscious mind knows how to do. And so either we don't put ourselves out there, or we create the same predictable experience. So every time we go to a networking event, I don't know, making this up, we get blanked. Or every time we do a live on Instagram, it doesn't work, or people leave negative comments. We start to create stories that explain things that happen in the nervous system so that we don't feel crazy. And the third way is that these stories become our identity, and we allow the stories of experiences that have happened in our past to define our future, to hold us back, because simply our body doesn't let us move forward, or when we do move forward, we create the same scenario over and over. And that is because our subconscious mind and our nervous system, they are the same, one and the same, energetically speaking, physiologically speaking, emotionally speaking, are creating more of the same in order to protect you and keep you safe. There is a really big difference between the safety zone and the comfort zone. Now, a comfort zone is when you are kind of sat on the edge of your seat and you're like, should I speak up? Oh, should I speak? I'm not sure. I've got something to say, but I'm not sure. That's a comfort zone. That's a small edge. It's a baby step. A safety zone is doing something beyond what your nervous system has capacity to do that would cause you to go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, or worse, would send you into a period of numbness and shutdown. So I don't love this generic advice of these are all the things you need to do to get out of your comfort zone, because the difference between a safety zone and a comfort zone is different for every single person. For some of you, sitting here filming a podcast telling the truth about your life would be a massive step out of your safety zone. For me, this isn't even a step out of my comfort zone. This is normal. So everyone's experience of life is completely different, and that's why we can't give generic advice about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. But what I can share with you that will help you if you feel like your programming, your nervous system, and your past experiences, and therefore your trauma, is sabotaging or affecting the growth of your business, your career, or other areas of your life, including your income and how much money you receive, then this is my top tips for you. Number 1, allow yourself to feel. So many of us have been through so many difficult experiences that we just weren't capable of experiencing. Potentially when we grew up, we had parents who were loving and kind. Maybe not for some of us, but most of our parents, if you're in my generation, so slightly above millennial, actually our parents didn't teach us how to regulate ourselves emotionally. They taught us how to make tea and have a biscuit. They taught us to look outside of ourselves to change our emotions or change how we feel. And we had to change how we felt in order for them to feel okay. What a lot of us don't know, and something that I discovered when I was doing my trauma coaching, was that actually a child, when they're young, before they have a subconscious mind, interprets every negative experience that happens outside of them. So their parents arguing, shouting on the phone, they would rather believe that they were the reason. They would rather believe that they are the problem, energetically speaking, so that they can feel safe, than they would believe there was a threat outside of them. When we're that young, we look to our primary caregivers to be our sense of safety, our sense of truth, our sense of regulation. And when they're not able to regulate themselves through stress, through money situations, through emotional dynamics, through relationships, and they're not regulated, the child will internalize that sense of dysregulation and hold it like it's their fault. And so we can go into adult life carrying these energies of shame, of fear, of guilt, of lack of responsibility that have nothing to do with our present life. But because we then try to create stories to explain how we feel, and those stories then become our identity, we feel like it's true. We feel like those things are true. And what I want you to know is that what happened to you as a child is not your fault. What happened in your childhood experience that you don't remember, that your parents don't remember, is not your fault. But it is your responsibility to move through those things. And that is why we have to re-feel and we have to re-peel the layers to feel those feelings and allow them to come up and wash over us, so that those emotions can be energy in motion, move through, move forward, and move on. If your energies, if your nervous system is constantly moving into that survival mode every time you try to step out there, every time you try to move forward, even though intellectually you know what you want and you know your stuff, even though emotionally you feel desire backed, the truth is that's going to hold you back every time. And so this is why doing your inner work, doing the healing, like being able to witness and sit with yourself and look at what isn't working and recognize with yourself, hey, every time I go to do this, I then find myself on an emotional eating binge. Or every time my business hits a certain goal or I hit a certain level, I pull away and I, come off social media. I want you to recognize that's nothing to do with social media. It's nothing to do with the food. It's everything to do with you not feeling safe. That you've gone beyond a safety zone, not beyond a comfort zone. And the answer to that is in the safe environment, working with a coach, working with a therapist, working through one of my programs or frameworks, is allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you haven't felt, that you've pushed down, that you've run away from, that you've pulled back from, and allowing those to wash over you in that safe environment so that you can move through those energies and move forward. The next step is to rewrite who you believe you are. And that only works if you do step 1. So everybody's going to try and jump to step 2 because I know, because I've tried it. But the truth is you can rewrite all the stories and the way that you think and read 1,000 affirmations every single day. But if off the back of that, energetically speaking, you're still moving into fight, flight, freeze or fawn every single time you put yourself out there, it doesn't matter how confident you say you are, you're still moving from a safety zone and your body's going to pull you right back. So as we build that foundation of safety in our body, at the same time as reprogramming those stories in our mind, we then get to change our identity. And as I've talked about extensively in this podcast so far, when we change our identity and we change our energetics, we change what we receive and we can attract to us, that then changes our life experience, that then allows us to level up again and again and again and again. The level up is not directly related to the effort. The level up is not related to what you came from and who you are, but it is related to the energy that you're experiencing, to the feelings that you have, to the thoughts that you think, and how those things affect how you think and move and act through the world. If you are not willing to look at what's happening inside of you, to look at where you sabotage, to look at where you struggle, to look at the darkness, then the truth is you will always be capped on how far you can go. Or you'll end up like I did, pushing yourself well beyond a safety zone and ending up in burnout for over 2 years because the nervous system reached a point where it could no longer go on. And I moved from what is called ventral vagal, which is our positive kind of like happy state in our parasympathetic. I was then flitting into our survival mode, into our sympathetic nervous system all the time. And at the point that my nervous system could no longer do that because it was so triggered and it kind of over-triggered over time in a huge way, I then moved into something called dorsal vagal, which is basically shut down. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So if you find yourself moving in this cycle of this fight, flight, freeze, fawn every single time you put yourself out there, or even in the smallest ways, or you're already in that shutdown response, the next step is deep diving into this journey of healing, this journey of growth. And I have a ton of masterclasses for you to dive into that are completely free, that break this down bit by bit. But the one that springs to mind right now is lucysuperfox.com/transformation. So do not allow your trauma, the past, to be the reason the future doesn't happen for you. That doesn't have to be your reality. And I know from my own personal experience that it's not going to be mine. So I hope you love this episode. I hope it resonated, and I'll see you on the next one.